all about Scorpio, part 13. Before I begin, I'd like to thank everybody who actually subscribed and tried to like the videos that audio video that I'm actually posting for the past few months already. I started this, I guess that was late last year, but I posted actually a YouTube entry or a video 2 years ago about Scorpio. That was the very first video that I posted about the sun sign Scorpio. And late last year I was posting some audio recordings about this sun sign and the characteristics, traits, and everything, Scorpio men and women. And I do appreciate really you guys liking the video, you guys are subscribing to my channel, and hopefully I was able to put some light out there and try to give you some inputs about Scorpios. Being a Scorpio myself, I believe that I can really, try to share some information, especially for those people who are actually dealing with a Scorpio. Either they're in a relationship with a Scorpio or friends with a Scorpio, what have you. Anyway, thank you so much for listening to all my recordings. I really do appreciate it. I was really surprised because I got a lot of views, especially for, posting a lot of videos about Scorpio sun sign. And the previous one, I think that was about Scorpio men. I got a lot of views for that video or audio recording, and then how Scorpio is Seth MacFarlane. I know. I'm still, really fascinated. And I'm really a big fan of Seth MacFarlane, okay? So thank you so much for watching those, audio recordings that I've posted a few days ago. I really appreciate it. And hopefully I can actually somehow help other people out there understand the side and the secret side of Scorpios. And speaking of secrets, okay, we're going to talk about Scorpio secrets because they say that Scorpio is the most mysterious sign of the zodiac, okay? And I'm going to take this from this really cool article. You might want to check that out. I'm just going to read it off. It's not mine, but I'm going to share my inputs about it. You can visit www.scorpioinfo.com. There you would discover the mysteries and the secrets of Scorpios, or, unraveling the secrets of Scorpio people. So, without any further ado, let's begin. The first and most important point you need to know is that this astrology sign of Scorpio is all about power. Part of the Scorpio mystery is the passion and intensity they have within themselves. They're all-or-nothing people. A Scorpio will never be wishy-washy or confused. They are very intense, always striving for power. It can be a vicious struggle when someone tries to overtake them or run their projects for them. They dedicate themselves to their endeavors fully and won't allow anyone to step on their toes. If this happens, they will put up a fight. Their passion comes through power, and once you understand this, you can live more peacefully with a Scorpio. The most important tip you should take away from reading this or listening to this, let them have their power. Don't worry, you can trust them with all the power because they are very meticulous and can handle it very well. They're not power hungry just for the sake of having power. They relish it and handle it well. They transform it into great things so you can trust their decisions. If you were to let any astrology sign take control, let it be the Scorpios because they are very good at it. One of the reasons that Scorpio is so power hungry is because they don't like surprising outcomes. If they're in control, then they know what to expect in any given situation. They really do hate surprises, and I agree with that, okay? They always like to know what's happening and what the outcome of this situation is, which is the main reason why they need to be in control. What I, comment about that, it's true. Scorpios like to be in control, and, the thing about Scorpios not wanting to be in a situation or to be put in a situation where, they don't know what's going on, like they're blinded by everything, like they don't know what's going on or what will be the outcome. They want everything to be black and white as much as possible. So that's the sign of or where a Scorpio is actually in a control state, because they wanted to be 5 steps ahead most of the time. They wanted to be informed as much as possible. They know what's going to happen next, things like that. So they don't want to be, basically they want to be in a situation where they don't know what to expect. Like, they don't know what's going on, what's going to happen, what's going to happen next. So that's also why they always like to uncover some information or uncover some mystery. So I would definitely agree with that. Okay? Now let's move on. They are very secretive about their true feelings too. So their true thoughts are kept under wraps at all time. Okay? The conflicting thing is that the Scorpio is very sensitive. This can be a bad combination for them and also for others close to them, because they can react in outbursts instead of expressing gently their true feelings. And so true. They think that showing their feeling is actually a sign of vulnerability. And the Scorpio sign needs power. A powerful person is never vulnerable. They can't handle that, so they put up a front of being like a rock, when in fact, they're actually very sensitive. Totally agree with that one. Okay, so, how do you handle a person like this? When you're speaking with them, just keep in mind that things you say that can hurt their feelings can easily offend them. Alright? Remember their animal sign, the scorpion. They have a hard shell and can sting if someone gets in their way, threatens them, or hurts them. It is very easy to offend them, but they won't show it like some other signs will. If you have a Pisces friend and say something offensive to them, they'll let you know that was not appropriate. But with a Scorpio, girlfriend, boyfriend, or friend, or whatever, you'll offend them and they won't tell you, and then they'll hold a grudge against you and you won't even know it. And I totally agree with that. Most of the time I do that. Even though I got really totally offended by a comment, I try to digest that first, and most of the time I don't show it. Like, I got offended with what you said, so I try to keep that to myself. Worse, if it's snowballed, or let's just say, let's put it this way: if a person does something again, the very same thing to you, or offended you another way, that's going to be strike 2. And then suddenly a Scorpio will react violently afterwards. So, because they don't really show their feelings up front. They would try to hide it as much as possible. That's the challenge with Scorpios. And personally, as a Scorpio, I would definitely agree with what's being said here. Okay? Anyway, let's move on. Then what happens next is they seem to be off. And you don't know why. That's what I'm talking about earlier. Only to have them upset at you about what you said, and you have no idea they're upset in the first place. They never confronted you about it. It comes back to that mystery again. You have to tread carefully around the Scorpio, but once you do, well, you can handle them easily. So choose your words carefully. Now, having their emotions all wrapped up in a hidden shell to protect their power means to us onlookers that they only allow the surface of themselves to show, okay? Think of them like an iceberg. You only see a little bit of the surface, and everything else is hidden in the depths. They have incredible self-restraint in public, which is so freaking true, and around others, even to people who are close to them. That, I tell you, is 110% true, or 500% if you want. If you think the Scorpio is a simple, shallow person, think again. They are holding their true selves under a shell of restraint, another aspect to their mystery. And then think of the solid shell of the Scorpion, once again, really tough, and if you try to get in, you can be stung. But we're unraveling this quite well. Are you following us so far? I mean, you understand where the mystery comes from and how they hide themselves? By now, you're probably very excited about everything you've just learned, but of course, there's so much more. Alright, now, let's try to unravel the Scorpio mystery, okay? A release of anger usually occurs when power is threatened, okay? Or if they feel another person steps on their toes. Scorpio prides themselves on being mysterious and untouchable. If a person claims they can read between their lines or see underlying motives, Scorpio feels threatened. The sensitive and self-proclaimed untouchable Scorpio personality needs to be kept at arm's length from the general public. Okay, now here's the next tip for handling the Scorpio. Even though so far the reader sees inside their motives, don't tell them. Keep it a secret. A Scorpio hates to be revealed. Handle their intensity in secret. Scorpio forever cherishes the person who gives them the reins of power, never offends, angers, or distracts while busy. There, dealing with a Scorpio is suddenly a little easier, huh? Scorpios are critically suspicious of liars, cheaters, and anything that can threaten their power. They soak up everything like a sponge. When told some gossip, they store that away for later reference if needed, okay? Now, talking about gossip, a Scorpio is not a gossip for the sake of gossip, but they keep this information for their own use. They need to see if they can trust a person. Now, once a person breaks a Scorpio's trust, they up the creek without a paddle. Scorpio loses trust and holds grudges easily. Never expect them to forget, forgive, and move on anytime soon. It would take really, a long time before they can do that. But, to really expect them to, forget it, I don't think so. Being a Scorpio, we do forgive, and it takes a lot of time before it can forgive someone. It depends on the gravity, or the situation, okay? But definitely we never forget the things that were done to us, okay? That's something that you should all keep in mind. And I like the fact what's being told here that they actually try to soak everything up, all of this information for later reference. Yes, we do that a lot. And another thing, speaking of gossip, we're not really into gossip. I tell you, unless you have been influenced by other, signs, a rising sign or moon sign. But most Scorpios, they really do not like gossips at all. They don't give a crap, really. Especially if it doesn't interest them. It's so rare for you to find a Scorpio spending a lot of their time or wasting their time on, gossips or talking about other people's lives. They don't normally do that because, for them, it's just a waste of time. And being private themselves, they don't want the same thing to happen to them, right? They don't want other people talking about them all the time or, trying to fish out a lot of information about them. As much as possible, Scorpios, tries to keep away from that, especially in the workplace. They're really focused on their work, especially if they like the job that they're, doing, But you rarely will find a Scorpio actually hanging around with a bunch of people gossiping about other people. That's so freaking rare, and they don't really subscribe to, to gossips and all that. If you encountered one, then probably that's one of the rare Scorpios, unless they're influenced, again, like what I mentioned earlier, influenced by other, signs, or depends on their rising or their moon sign. Anyway, moving on. In fact, they are actually the worst sign of the zodiac at forgiving. See? The type that cheats or lies better find a different sign to align. The game is over soon as the Scorpio exposes a cheat or a liar. No second chances. I've said this 1,000 times, especially in my previous recordings, that we Scorpios, when we got hurt by someone or tried to cheat on us or tried to lie to us, or probably, we got fed up with the sick lies, cheatings, and we got sick of all those pretensions, whatever. There will come a time where a Scorpio would just suddenly disappear in a snap. You'll be lucky because if a Scorpio didn't do something before leaving, like really, that revenge thing, that vengeful, that sting of a famous sting of a Scorpio. But other Scorpios would just walk away, and they would just disappear. you know, in a flash. And here you go, like, okay, what did I do? Like, why did she or he just vanish, you know, suddenly? Because they got fed up with all of your sick lies or your sick behavior, whatever it is that you did to them that really, really hurt them a lot. So the bad part is, once the Scorpio says that, you know, I'm done with you, and I'm also speaking for my, you know, own experience. Once I'm done with someone, really, once I'm really sick about what they're doing, and they kept on repeating the same old pattern all the time, then, you know, it's over. No turning back at all. So definitely no second chances, okay? They are excellent detectives too, and this was mentioned a lot of times in the previous recording as well. So never underestimate, you know, any sleuthing skills. They can easily play dumb. Oh, that's so freaking true. It is simply part of the facade of trying not to reveal too much of themselves. Okay, I'm going to reveal that secret of mine too, about that, you know, playing dumb and all that. Hold on. Let me just get back to you one sec. Okay, I'm back. I just had to clear my throat and drink some water here. Anyway, about that part that says they can easily play dumb, it is simply part of the facade of trying not to reveal too much of themselves. That's so freaking true. And I've been doing that as well. Believe me, you know, as a Scorpio, it depends on the situation. We try to do that, of course, not to reveal any information, okay? Because there are times that, you know, people would actually, you would, how do I, you know, explain this? Okay, I'll just base it on my personal experience, okay? There are people who are actually, you know, fond of manipulating other people, doing a lot of stuff that, you know, that are inappropriate. And sometimes you just have to play dumb, like you didn't know. Okay, I hope you get what I'm saying, because that's my play. That's what I do. Like, I don't show them that I'm affected. That's number one. Number two, I play so dumb, like, you know, and people would laugh at me. Like, would really laugh at me, like, oh my God, look at her. She's so freaking dumb. You know, she doesn't know what the hell is going on and all that. But in reality, I was just, you know, playing it, you know, playing the role of being dumb and not knowing what's going on really. But they just don't know that I'm actually just trying to strategize, you know, and just trying to play, you know, really dumb for my own advantage. I don't know if you've watched, I guess the best way to explain this, I'm sorry if you can't understand me on how I actually try to explain that, that part, but I don't know if you've actually watched this movie. I think it's not, I forgot it, Disturbing Behavior, I think. Let me just double check that. I think Kate Winslet was on that movie. And I love that film, you know. I love that film. I think it's Disturbing Behavior. Let me just search that up. Yeah, it is Disturbing Behavior. I'm not sure if actually you've watched that film, but I would recommend for you to check that out. That's a really good film, by the way. And I would like to actually use the example of this. I forgot the name of the actor, obviously, but he's actually that actor who plays the part of the janitor, the one who's actually, he's acting like he's retarded and all that. A retard, you know. Refresh my memory here. I really forgot he's a great actor. I forgot his name, but he was actually trying to portray himself or act as if he is actually a retard, and everybody's making fun of him, and everybody's not taking him seriously because obviously he's a retard. What does he know, you know? And I'd like to, there you go. I tried to search that up. Google it, okay. That's William Sadler. There you go. He's actually the school janitor. He's not actually a retard, but more of like, I have to correct myself there. He's mentally handicapped, okay? And so everybody's not really, you know, trying to take him seriously. But The good thing on that film, why I actually use that as an example, because he used his weakness, like everybody's making fun of him, everybody's not taking him seriously, they think he's a retard, or, because of, handicap and all that, or, he's not thinking straight, whatever. But he was actually also acting it up, I would actually use that as an example for what Scorpios does, or what we normally do, to be in an advantageous position. We can be like that. We can act as if, really genuinely, like we don't know anything. Like we would, pretend as if that I got nothing. I don't know. I don't know what hell you're talking about, or would, try to play so stupid and silly, but other people would think that, they're not going to take us seriously, and they would just make fun of us, but actually we're 5 steps ahead of you. Things like that. I hope you get the point. But definitely that part was something so true, and that's also a secret of a Scorpio. And we're revealing it to you right now, okay? So yeah, we do that, if need be, okay? So, that's our strategy in order for us not to reveal everything. So we need to do that for our own advantage of the situation. In my case, it happened to me a lot of times in the workplace. A lot of people were so, full of intrigues and a lot of stupid stuff. So I'm not going to, discuss the details of that, but I did that. I need to, because, that way, I get to uncover a lot of information by doing that, and it's funny because people would think that you're stupid. It's funny that people would actually tag you as someone who's, you have your own world, you're stupid, you're retarded. But they don't know they're actually the ones being played around, things like that. So never mess with a Scorpio. That's one thing for sure, especially if a Scorpio would normally not really try to hurt you unless he's the asshole type of Scorpio, or the bitch type of Scorpio, just, is fond of, hurting other people. But normally Scorpios will not do that unless there's a need for them to do that, okay? Anywho, that's a long one. Let's move on, okay? Are you ready to move on? When Scorpio gets an idea in their head, they go all the way, refusing to be derailed or stopped. Another way to coexist peacefully with Scorpio is actually to let them be with their ideas, and do not question their path or attempt to influence their ideas. So true. They welcome suggestions, but make sure never give suggestions as commands, okay? Instead of saying, you should do this, or just say, what do you think about this? Oh my God, this is so true. It is very important to take a sideline approach when a determined Scorpio is working. Once their mind sets on a goal, nothing can get in the way. Let them flourish. Okay, achieving goals is a specialty. You know what? That's so true. I dislike people who act as if, especially if you're in the same job grade, or, he's just a colleague. He's not really your boss, but they're bossing around. You should do this. You should do that. I don't like working with people like that. I'd prefer it if the person I'm working with is someone who's actually very, collaborative, without being too overly, acting like, they're in charge of everything, like you should do this, and do that. Don't do this, do this, I hate it. I don't like that. It feels like I'm being controlled. And again, that's the control with Scorpio. If you put it in such a way that, hey, what do you think about this? So do you get the point? Like what's being, said in here? Like, it's different when you say, to someone, to a Scorpio, like, you should do this, not that. Instead of, why not put it this way? So what do you think about this if we do this? Try to involve them, or try to ask for their input, or what they think about the situation. Like, try to involve them instead of really trying to command them, you know. They don't like that. Most Scorpios do not like that, you know, because that's a sign of losing control. Especially if, you know, we're talking about just fellow colleagues. If it's a boss, then you have no choice but to follow the boss, right? But it depends as well. But most of the time, Scorpios will not have any problem, you know, getting orders from a boss. But if someone is ordering you around, acting really much of a control freak, like, you know, acting arrogant and all that, Scorpios hates that. They do hate people like that. They don't like working with people like that, okay? Anyway, moving on. Scorpio might ignore others while in a role, okay? So do not take it personally or attempt to, you know, ask for attention while busy. Once the project completes, you will have your friend back. It does not mean they love any less. It just means they're busy right now. So true. Avoid being overly sensitive because this sign is actually a sign that does not tolerate emotional instability. This, however, is an irony, which is true. It's really ironic, you know, because Scorpio is sensitive, but they will not tolerate the same in other people. So that sounds really unfair, right? You know, they are very sensitive, but they don't want dealing with people who are also emotionally unstable or very, very sensitive too. So I know that's really complex and quite unfair. Okay. Now, you have to compromise because they were not. You got it? We've touched on the clingy factor a little bit in the previous lesson. It must be noted that Scorpio is one of the most clingy, okay, and jealous signs of all of the astrological sun signs. They live by the mantra, if I can't have you, no one will. Depending on individual astrology sign personality traits, it can be a desired complementing feature. A person will always feel protected and cared for, or a complete detriment like a suffocating blanket. The Scorpio is a great match for monogamous personalities. A person who simply wants to settle down and grow old together, sitting on rocking chairs in moments of silence. This person is a premier match. To the independent person who prefers freedom, move along and pick another independent astrology sign. But hold on, okay, hold on. Let me pause there. It says here the most clingy sign. I beg to disagree as well. And, you know, it depends. What do you mean by clingy? Because a lot of Scorpios are fiercely individualistic and fiercely independent, okay? So I don't really understand what is being said here that too clingy. Probably we're clingy in terms of when we're actually emotionally attached to someone. Like, that's where the control also comes in. The jealousy, you know, comes in. Where it you know, appears as if you're really too clingy. But actually, don't get us wrong. Scorpios are not really too clingy. It depends, really. But we're actually pretty much fiercely independent, okay? So, anyway, the Scorpio in love is not necessarily an emotional love, but they will make a partner feel like the most important person in the world. That's so true. They will do anything to protect like a knight in shining armor. I've experienced that too. Often jealous of others, the significant of others must understand jealousy happens because they are in love. This is how a romantic partner can tell it is really, you know, it's real love, okay? Now, let me go back. We've talked about the clingy thing, you know, and it says earlier that to the independent person who, you know, prefers freedom, move along and pick another independent astrology sign. So I guess it's about the love thing, okay? Because Scorpio, they really do prefer a monogamous relationship, even though they're actually known for or being tagged as sex addicts or horny people, horn dogs, or a lot of Scorpio guys wanting to have one night stand, you know, things like that. But actually, sex is different, you know. having sex is different from making love to Scorpios, okay? So that's one thing that you should actually be reminded of. You should be reminded of that. Sex and love are two different things for Scorpios. They can just have sex with anyone that they wanted to, probably, but they prefer definitely a monogamous relationship. They wouldn't want a partner who's actually, full of freedom, like they can just, flirt with any other guys or girls out there. They don't like that, because especially if they're in love with the person, that's where the jealousy again comes in, because they're really in love with the person. They want the person to just, be, just be theirs and theirs alone. Okay, so anyway, moving on. Remember, they keep their true emotions hidden and may not even say the magic L word, but they show love via actions. Another thing for Scorpios that's so true, actions speak louder than words. Ask yourself, do you feel protected? If so, it is love. Okay, so let's pause again. Earlier, it also mentioned that they're jealous, right? The most jealous signs are Scorpios, especially to their partners. Now, it said earlier that they would do anything to protect someone that they love, like a knight in shining armor. I actually experienced that, and I experienced that from a Scorpio guy. I'm a Scorpio woman, and I felt that from a Scorpio man. So it is so true. If a Scorpio man or Scorpio guy really is into you and, he's in love with you, he would definitely protect you, okay? Probably to a friend. You can tell if it's, he's doing that, because Scorpios are also doing that to their friends. They're really loyal friends. When it comes to loyalty, you can bet on a Scorpio, because they can brave the bullets for you. But when in terms of love, you can feel that it is really love, because a Scorpio would definitely go out of his way to protect you. And in my case, to share my personal experience, since we're talking about unraveling or trying to reveal some secrets of a Scorpio here, I have experienced a lot of situations where the Scorpio guy is really trying to protect me from people who's trying to harm me, or is trying to do some things that are so inappropriate, or I felt disrespected in some way. And here goes the Scorpio guy really trying to fight for you, they would really act like they're the knight in shining armor, and they would be there to protect you from all harm. So that's so true. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, my phone is ringing. I'll be back in a sec, okay? Hold on. Sorry. All right, I'm back. And the contrary. Okay, let's move on. Never be too demanding for Scorpio's approval. In their view, neediness is lack of self-confidence, and that is a major turn off. And that is definitely, true for Scorpios. It's a major turn off for the sign, They love confidence and people who are sure of themselves. A person that always fishes for compliments appears to be insecure. You want someone who's really confident of himself, and we want someone who has a lot of confidence of their decision, whether it's decision making or about who they are really. They don't want, we Scorpios don't want, people or partner who's always trying to looking for validation from other people, all right? And just to feel that they're actually secured, or they feel that they're actually good at something, or whatever that is. But yeah, that is so freaking true. So, you got this lesson? Scorpio, again, shows love by action, not words. If they protect someone, they like them. That's what I said earlier, right? So, for people trying to attract a Scorpio, be a challenging person, or be a challenge to snag their interest. So, they do not like something presented on a platter, they can just easily take it. You know, it's not challenging at all. They love winning, play hard to get. It's like, you know, a game that they cannot resist. If they can chase and work to seduce, they have the power to win. Do not give it up too quickly. However, the thrill of the hunt is exhilarating. In the meantime, you will have a challenge too. Scorpio is a sign of power and sex, lust and seduction, and it's hard to resist. So make sure to stay at arm's length and let them chase for a while first, after they have won their prize. Facebook status updates to in a relationship. Stop running, or they will condemn you as fake or flaky. They like sure and solid people. Remember? Okay? Now, it is time to settle down, follow their lead, and live happily ever after, only heeding the above advice, of course. Scorpio is not just a good lover, they are also incredibly loyal best friend. So choose your words carefully. Do not lie or act insecure. Share their passion and determination. Follow this essential set of rules, and these complex people actually can be the most rewarding friends and lovers of all 12 signs of the zodiac. So, there you go. That's so true, okay? So, we want someone who's really confident, sure of themselves, really good in decision-making. They don't want wishy-washy people as well, because they're not wishy-washy themselves. And before we end this recording, I'd also like to mention that really Scorpios love challenges. That's so true. They don't want a partner who shows that they're so available all the time. And I've seen that in both men and women Scorpios, okay? For me, as a woman, I don't like a partner who's really flirting all the time. Like, they really show me that they're head over heels, or they're like so, you know, so available. They're so into me, and, you know, it turns me off. Like, you know, sometimes you would even question their motives. Like, I don't know, Scorpio does have that trait as well, that because they're very suspicious at times. The negative trait of a Scorpio, although they're pretty much good when it comes to their instincts or their guts, but sometimes the negative side of a Scorpio is that sometimes they act overly suspicious of something, even if there's, you know, nothing to be really suspicious about, okay? But they can be overly suspicious. So sometimes we question why they're doing this. Like, what is it that you want? Why are you flirting me like that? What do you want? Do you want to get something out of me? Do you want my body? Do you want sex? Or do you want some, you know, to get ahead of something, fish out some information that will help you in your job? You know, something like that. So if I encounter a guy who's overly, you know, flirtatious, that turns me off, because I find it so easy. Like, this guy is, you know, really trying to show me that he is, you know, head over heels, or is really being too flirtatious and all that. And it goes almost the same for Scorpio men. And I've said this, you know, 1,000 times before, that I've been, you know, most of my friends are actually Scorpio men, okay? Out of all the zodiac signs out there, most of them are Scorpio men. And definitely, I can be 200% sure of this. I've seen that in them. I've seen in Scorpio men that they don't like a woman who's readily available. They don't like a woman who's too flirtatious. Of course, they would flirt back. They're guys, right? But keep in mind that it doesn't mean that the girl has taken advantage over the Scorpio man for flirting with him. Because, you know, it also gives them a reason, the Scorpio, you know, gives that guy a reason, the Scorpio guys a reason to doubt them. Like, okay, so are you really that type of a girl? Like, what if we're already in a relationship? Would you also respond to, you know, flirts or some signs from other guys, the flirtings of other guys so easily, just like what you did to me, you know? And at the same time, they don't find it very challenging, because they know, okay, this girl really likes me. She's into me. So don't share too much of your secrets or share everything, even when it comes to clothing. Scorpios, they do like, you know, for Scorpio guys, they do like women who wears sexy, but not too much. Not too sexy, not too slutty looking. I'm sorry for the term, but not too, you know, they want something sexy but still respectable. In other words, I hope you know what I'm saying here. Like you're wearing a revealing, blouse or whatever, but not too much, let them think, let them try to uncover it, because they love mysteries themselves. They love, anything that is not too obvious. So anything that is too obvious to Scorpios, that's, going to be a bore for them, because again, they wanted challenge. All right. So that's one of the secrets of a Scorpio. I hope that helped you. Of course, as a Scorpio myself, I'm not going to reveal other, secrets out there. I'm kidding. But the purpose of this, all about Scorpio recording, is actually to give you some insights about Scorpio people. And of course, to share you some of our secrets, okay? And for you guys to understand, really. So it's like, giving you a ticket to a movie to watch. What is it really with Scorpios? What are their secrets, And these are just a few of, few secrets that a Scorpio holds to himself or herself. I like the part, again, that they act dumb, like what I've mentioned earlier. I really do like that part because, yeah, I did that. I've done that, I've done that on certain situations if it's really needed. So those are just one of the secrets of a Scorpio. There are lots, actually. There are lots. But I hope you enjoyed this audio recording. And once again, before I end this, I'd like to thank each and everyone for, again, trying to watch and listen, rather, to the videos or audio recordings I've been posting for the past few months. And thank you as well for subscribing and liking it. I really do appreciate it, This is just basically my point of view as a Scorpio. I'm not saying everything that I've, shared to you guys or, it will apply to every, Scorpio out there. Some would disagree, some would agree. But I believe, and this is based on my instinct, of course, that 90% of what we've talked about so far are really true for Scorpios, okay? So, anyway, that's about it. I'm going to post another recording. Watch out for it. Scorpio Part 14. All about Scorpio Part 14. We'll probably tackle more about the likes and dislikes of a Scorpio. And that's about it. Okay. Thank you once again for listening, and I'll catch you soon. Goodbye.